Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Heritage. And on today's episode, we are venturing to the historic center of Krakow, Poland, talking about the former capital of Poland and the 13th century merchants town that has Europe's largest square market and a ton of historical houses, palaces, and churches.
Yeah. Additionally involved in the historic center of Krakow, as per the UNESCO site, are the 14th century fortifications and the medieval site of Kazimierz, with ancient synagogues, the Jagiellonian University, and a Gothic cathedral.
Gothic.
Which is, fun fact, the cathedral that houses the tombs of the kings of Poland.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep.
I did not know it had royal lineage, but that makes sense
Yeah.
if it was
Well,
the former capital.
yep. The Wawel Hill complex here is a very storied place. And as it probably should be for one of uh, one of the world's probably unluckiest yet least killable nations.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you have two neighbors that keep looking over your fence into your yard, going, huh, the grass is greener over there.
Everyone is bigger than you, and you have no natural boundaries.
Oh, we love you,
Uh,
Poland.
Poland.
We love Poland.
Yeah, Poland is fun.
But
But
it's very beautiful. You see the historic defensive fortifications, especially on the side of the palace with the ramparts going up and down, the viewports. And it's such a unique blend of these different historic natures that they pretty much just said all of it's historic, but it has different influences. And it's very visible. Like, you could see the Gothic architecture of the church. You can see the Arabic inspired arches on the outside of the palace, but even inside the church, you get like a more orthodox, ornate cathedral, which is so gorgeous. Wow.
yeah. Now, one of the fun things about Krakow is when we talk about the 13th century historical value here, we're actually talking about the day the city was founded. Some of this stuff goes back to 1257, which is when the city was chartered. And so some of these things that you are looking at when we talk about the 13th century historical value, they are the original buildings of Krakow. Maybe not in their original form, but it is the same foundations rising up.
And even in the courtyard, you could see remnants of older buildings right outside of the buildings there. And it's so gorgeous. I mean, the thing I love about these historic centers of European cities, especially ones like this, is just the blends and the contrast in all the styles. Like, I love seeing the Arabic arches that somehow permeate into a lot of European, specifically Eastern European buildings.
Yeah. And one of the fun, unique things that comes about with the historic center of Krakow is this sort of religious tolerance as the part of this, what would be the good word here, site that is considered the town of Kazimierz, which is part of the historic center of Krakow and all that. That town specifically is one of the few places where you see side by side blended together Jewish and Christian architecture on full display in this uniquely Polish blend here. So it's this, this sort of, I guess, religious influence from, not just what is considered good Christian practice. It's everything has a place. And I like that.
Yeah, to see that level of religious tolerance, especially between those two groups, is truly remarkable.
Yeah.
There's so many good pictures on this page that I just keep
Oh,
flipping
yeah.
through. It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
pretty.
No. Oh, yeah. No, it was very pretty. It was a city of art in its heyday, and it was known for being the city of art for East and West, both Eastern and Western Europe, and also Eastern and Western civilization.
Oh
You
yeah,
got
'cause this is right at the
yeah,
crossroads.
Yeah, you got the Ottomans coming up through Greece, you've got the Russians coming in from the east, and you've got all those wonderful budding Renaissance people coming in from the west.
Those pesky Renaissance people.
Yeah,
How dare they bring in their art styles and their zest for life.
yeah. So much better when they were sending the Crusaders, right?
The Crusaders may have stopped in Krakow, but they were never going to Krakow.
Yeah.
That's an important distinction, I think. It's not like Acre or any of those other cities. Constantinople.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, this is
Oh, I guess we
this
could
is
like
very
totally just ignore the fact that the Teutonic Knights were never a thing.
yeah. Well, the Teutonic Knights were over in Turin. We don't have to worry about them. This is Krakow. Yeah.
But it's a cool, unique blend of these different historical points that really adds to the uniqueness, and it's pretty well it's pretty well got its maintained its character, its integrity. I mean, you do fight a lot of urbanization and urban renewal, um, but generally speaking, it really has this own unique form of authenticity that it has, where a lot of the things maintain their original setting, they kept their same design and function, and you can really see these historic neighbors and the historic medieval charters that really helped grow this urban medieval town. And the most important things that it highlights include Wawel Hill is the castle and cathedral, which really show their power and their influence. But then you see the two separate town of Kazimierz and Krakow. And the interesting thing is, most of this area is under a mix of public and private ownership, but it is entirely protected by law. Um, both of the areas of Krakow and of Wawel Hill and Kazimierz are inscribed on their national register, and most of them are within the boundaries of the property that are individually listed on the national register. Um, and it was also proclaimed to be a monument, and since 2010, it has a much, much larger buffer zone that they have on there now.
It's very nice to see a sort of universal law for a single property here, like the historic center when it has multiple owners and multiple stakeholder holders. Because a lot of time you end up getting one set of rules for things that are owned by the government, and a much looser set of rules for things that private investors own. And that's not the case here. And I do like to see that because you never know what you're going to get with private ownership. And to have a set of rules that applies to everybody, well, I just like to see that. I like seeing these things sort of like sports games. Every player has to abide by the same set of rules.
Yeah.
And even within the local town, specifically of Krakow, there's a specific self governing administration that has a president and works with authorities at a regional level and basically allows them to supervise and intervene in any activities that could result in alterations to the urban layout or to any of the buildings within the property. And they're working to transform this area into a culture park, which is very cool. I know Italy's very good on this. They have a lot of cultural parks that you could walk through Roman ruins, walk through modern cities, and have a sense and feel for it, which is really kind of cool. And like every other good site that we've seen and that we talk about on this series, is you really need to have a good management plan and a preservation plan in place. And that's one of the things that they could really work on and have. That they are in the process of trying to draft a management plan that will allow for coordination of activities in the area and just basically add to the buffer zone.
I think yeah, I think that's pretty good. That like you get to see that everything isn't set in stone. That things are evolving from an administrative level. That the fact that we've outlined this as a site doesn't mean okay, we're done. We can all walk away and it'll stay like this forever, because that's never the case.
Now, arguably, a lot of these historic sites are living, breathing things. They have their own ecosystem, their own economies, their own everything that you really have to try and juggle and balance and manage. I mean, I think everyone says, oh, we should just turn this into a tourist destination. But what does that actually entail? How much foot traffic can they support? How many people? What can the ingress and egress look like? And those are things that you really have to lay out. And especially within urban environments like this, you really have to try and be careful with potential future developments because while your 53-story skyscraper may not be built in the direct city center, having it, only a few hundred feet away can definitely alter the setting, the view sheds, the pretty much anything that has to do with that feeling, that setting, that vibe. So it's something that you think you have to consider and think about that their buffers really come into play here to things that could indirectly affect or adversely affect the sites. And I think that's probably a great place for us to end up here. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know what you think down below, and we'll see you in the next one.